How's it going, everybody? I'm Digit, and this is the Streetcast, episode 6. All right. So for those of you that listen to the podcast, you know that I did tease a discussion on Japanese versus American media and the representations of prophecy versus working for it. And I did talk about that, and I put that episode out. But it's a disappointing thing when you create something and you go back to it and you're disappointed by what you just created. That sounds like a lot of group projects, but when it's something I do by myself, I can't stand to have that out there when I'm not proud of my work. And I wasn't proud of that episode, even though I had worked on it, put it out on YouTube, put it out on Spotify and all that good stuff. No, I had to take it down just because it wasn't as polished as I usually like. So this episode is going to replace the one I took down for this week. And then on Sunday, per the usual uploads, I will have another podcast and another YouTube video up for the podcast. Awesome. You can find the podcast at wherever you listen to podcasts. Or if you want some video behind it, you can check out my YouTube channel, IM_Digit. And that is Indigo Mike _Digit. Awesome. So let's talk about a couple things real quick. I got a story time. We're going to talk about Valorant a little bit, and then a quick news article, and then we're going to wrap this puppy up into a nice ball because I have some nice, beautiful pecan cookies in front of me that the mighty, marvelous, and beautiful Lucille cooked. So we are going to try and knock this puppy out so I can get to these pecan cookies, ladies and gentlemen. All right. First of all, Mount Rushmore. Now, the story behind Mount Rushmore in modern day is very controversial, right? It has a very jaded past, a very bad past with a lot of bad built into there, specifically because of the land that Mount Rushmore is on. But that's a whole nother discussion. That's a whole nother area. What I do want to talk about is a personal story where it was involved with me. When I was in college, I had this management teacher, and he's a very good guy. He was going to move on to other things after he taught this class, but I specifically remember him because he wanted to know all of his students. And he would often get to know you a little bit, and then when he wanted to know more about a topic, he'd ask you, hey, what is your Mount Rushmores of movies? And that didn't make a lot of sense at first, but what he's asking you is what your favorite movies were. But he didn't want a list. He just wanted to know, without any order, without any whatever, what are your 4 favorite movies? And I really liked that because it gave you more to talk about. It gave you a lot of variety in that person's insight and that person's taste and that person's personality. So just when you're trying to meet someone, when you're trying to get to know them, I've even adopted asking, hey, what are your Mount Rushmores of blank, whatever topic you're talking about? And so he would ask me, what are your Mount Rushmores of movies? And I replied with La La Land, Big Lebowski, Blade Runner 2049, and the John Wick, the original. That's a bit of range, but we had a cool conversation about that. And if he ever listens to this, which I doubt he ever will, I want to say thank you because I've adopted that myself. So I challenge y'all, instead of asking for one thing, what is your favorite movie, song, blah, 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 ask for people's Mount Rushmores. It shows a little more interest in what they're interested in. Cool. Next up, Valorant. Is it good? Yes, Valorant is good. It's good for what it is. Now, I don't like what it is. That's a whole different discussion. I grew up on Call of Duty, and the most tactical shooter I ever had growing up was Call of Duty Search and Destroy. And that's a bit different than what the CSGO, Valorant, and Rainbow Six crowd is into. They're into very slow, very strategy-based first-person shooters. The thing about Valorant that I don't like, that a lot of people are just nudging over, is that Valorant is almost clone for clone a CSGO wannabe. Even the market, the economy within the game, there wasn't a lot of inspiration. The only inspiration they brought was individual character abilities, which I'm not a fan of anyway. I like even playing grounds for games. I understand why character abilities give you interesting matchups here and there, but that's just not really my wheelhouse, ladies and gentlemen. I wish there would be a tactical shooter with 6 rotating classes or whatever. You can have more classes, right? And by classes, I mean characters, whatever. I'm just going to use classes for this podcast. But let's say you have 6 individual classes. You've got a warlock and a what you call it. And those are the 6 classes of this competitive season. And all you do is that each round, a random person gets that random class on the team. So there's no, in order for that team to become good, each person has to become viable on each class, and they have to be able to play it all. That's what I would do. Each player has to rotate. They don't get to pick and insta-lock a certain character or class. No. And that's what Valorant's turning into. It's turning into, this is the best Phoenix player in all of Valorant. It's very Overwatchy. Overwatch, where you insta-lock a character. He's the best Genji player of all time. No. If it was up to me, you would have a cast of characters of different classes and different strategies. And then you'd pick 6 for a tournament or a strategic season. And then all you would do as soon as you get into the match, it randomly assigns each round to who gets which class. And then, so you don't know, you never know what you're going to get. So you have to be good at all 6, and you have to know the strategies for those 6 on your team. I like that idea. I wish they would do something like that. I don't like insta-locking characters. I don't even like how the guns have bloom and random stuff like that. People say it takes strategy and you have to aim low and blah, blah, blah. No, it's just difficulty for difficulty's sake. I don't think CSGO is as good as a game as it deserves in the competitive sense. It's been one of the most competitive games of all time, but I don't think it's as polished as it should be, and that's why Valorant is taking so much of the market. Valorant's killing CSGO, even though CSGO is the king, because Valorant is polished, even if I don't agree with a lot of the things in the game. But that's for another day. That's just a quick talk. Got on a whole rant about the character-based shooters, but that's a whole different thing. Anyway, let's move on to a news article. If you have a PC, and even if you don't, and you want to claim a free game, if you're planning on getting a PC, Watch Dogs 2 is free now. You can go to Ubisoft's website, register for their service, and by register, I just create an account pretty much, email and password, and you get Watch Dogs 2 for free. It's a 2016 game, but there was a lot of love put into it and a lot of detail. And I'm gonna pick it up. I might not download it for a long time, but I'm gonna pick it up just to see if I want to play it later down the road. But that's Watch Dogs 2, ladies and gentlemen, and that, believe it or not, wraps up this week's podcast. Again, this is a short episode because I wasn't happy with what I produced in this last week. We might talk about Valorant some more in the future, but right now, I just want to say that Valorant is good for what it is, but I don't think what it is good, if that makes sense. I don't think the tactical FPS genre is a great genre. It needs a lot of inspiration, more so than Valorant brought, for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is this week. Next week, we're going for a little longer of a podcast, but right now, the mighty Lucille has fixed me some pecan cookies. Have a great week, everybody.